Breazeale's Grocery Bluegrass, and we're live here at the Breazeale's Grocery Bluegrass, 5109 Liberty Highway. And I'm excited. We got Heading Home coming up to play for you guys. It's going to be a great show. They're from Savannah, Georgia. Is that right? Yeah, Savannah, Georgia. And I think there's 9 kids and mom and dad. That makes 11. And they have 2 bands. This is one, and then the other kid's right here somewhere. They have another band. But I don't think the other band's going to play tonight, just the older folks. But I love these people. They're great folks. And I love their music. And by the way, when we do our intermission, they have shirts, CDs. And this young lady behind me has written her second book. She's written her second book, and it's up there on the table. So make sure you grab one of each before you go home. But you got to pay for them, right? Okay, without further ado, folks, let's welcome Heading Home.
Shared and we were happy anywhere we were together. shine those camper lights when they would glow. In that rusty old camper we made memories, roasting s'mores and making music round the fire, rolling on to the rhythm of the tides. That was the life we shared and we were happy anywhere we were together in our rusty old camper. Campgrounds in the forest, to parks and festivals, we were home at every hookup set, each spot was festival. And it was in that little camper where we didn't have much space that we learned to take life at a slower pace. In that rusty old camper we made memories, roasting s'mores and making music round the fire, rolling on to the rhythm of the tides. That was the life we shared and we were happy anywhere we were together in our rusty old camper. When the saints go marching in, when the saints go marching in, Lord, I want to be in that number. When the saints go marching in. When the sun begins to shine, when the sun begins to shine, Lord, I want to be in that number. When the sun begins to shine, but when the saints go marching in, when the saints go marching in, Lord, I want to be in that number. When the saints go marching in. When the stars begin to fall, Lord, I want to be in that number. When the stars begin to fall, when the saints go marching in, when the saints go marching in, Lord, I want to be in that number. When the saints go marching in. Crown him Lord of all, when they crown him Lord of all, Lord, I want to be in that number. When they crown him Lord of all. So when the saints go marching in, when the saints go marching in, Lord, I want to be in that number. When the saints go marching in. Saints go marching in, when the saints go marching in, Lord, I want to be in the number. When the saints go marching in, Lord, I want to be in that number. When the saints go marching in. Thank you all so much. How's everybody doing tonight? We sure are excited to be back here at Breazeale's. How many of you have heard us here before? All right, we got a few. So how many of you are hearing us for the first time? Well, thank y'all for coming out tonight. This is one of our favorite places to play. I think this is the third time that we've been here. And we always really appreciate Mr. Don asking us to come back. It's a lot of fun. So for those of you who are hearing us for the first time, we'll introduce everybody as we go along tonight. But we are heading home. We are a family group from just outside of Savannah, Georgia. So about 4 hours south of here. And we're just going to have a good time tonight, playing some bluegrass music, some gospel music, some traditional bluegrass, some originals. Actually, the second one that we did, Rusty Old Camper, that was an original song that I wrote. Some of you who have traveled in an RV before, you might be able to relate to that one. And this next song is going to feature our banjo picker. Over here playing the banjo, he's the youngest of the group. I'll just go ahead and introduce him. The banjo player is the most important, so we'll start off by letting everybody know who he is. And if y'all would give a nice big hand, this is my brother, Timothy Lindblum, on the banjo. A couple years back, he was named the Georgia State Banjo Champion, which means he's the best banjo player in the state of Georgia. But hey, don't clap yet. We're not in Georgia. So he very well could be the worst banjo player in South Carolina. You'll have to judge for yourselves. We're going to feature him on this next one. It's a banjo tune called Welcome to New York.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. As Libby said, it's, I guess, our third time back third time here at Breazeale's, and it's such a blessing to be back. Thank you, Don, and all that welcomed us. We really appreciate it. And it's so great to see some familiar faces and some faces we have not seen in years. Some of these folks over here. It reminds, this is the Maxwell family, by the way. They're a real blessing to our family. And as I was watching all these incredible children over here, all of them, and before I introduce who I'm going to introduce, I was just thinking, I think as far as bluegrass, we always say that it was the mountains of North Carolina, which is really true. 6 or 7 years ago, we heard it. I think the first time we ever were exposed to these instruments was with the Maxwell family. And our children were about their children's age, so I'm just thinking, what a flashback. So thank you all for coming to be with us tonight. And so I'll introduce this gal next to two down from me, actually, holding the guitar. And as Don said, well, first I'll introduce her first. That's our daughter, Libby Lindblum, on the guitar. If you'd make her feel welcome, please.
Thank you. That's all you need to say.
There's not much more to say.
It's usually better if Dad just stops early.
But she does love to write, and you'll see back there on our table some books. And so if you get a second, go back and check them out. They're Christian fiction books that she's written, and just finished the sequel, and we're getting really good comments from all over the place about them. So, there just isn't much stuff that's worth reading anymore. I'll tell you that much, right? And but this is really, I think you'll be really blessed and encouraged and by her stories. So come check it out. She'll tell you about them. So I'm going to ask her to sing this one. This one speaks of kind of going back to the times when things were just slower paced and the simpler times, and just kind of getting out of the rat race of society. And it's entitled "Where Corn Don't Grow." Hope you enjoy it.
We sat out on the front porch of that old gray house where I was born and raised, staring at the dusty fields where my daddy worked hard every day. Well, I think I kinda hurt him when I said, Daddy, there's a lot that I don't know. Oh, but don't you ever dream about a life where corn don't grow. He just sat there silent, staring at his favorite cornflower cow. I saw a storm of mixed emotion in his eyes when he looked up. He said, Hon, I know at your age it seems like this old world is turning slow, and you think you'll find the answer to it all, but corn don't grow. Hard times are real, there's dusty fields no matter where you go. Oh, you may change your mind, 'cause weeds are high where corn don't grow. Remember feeling guilty as Daddy turned and walked back in the house. Oh, I was only 17 then, but I thought that I knew more than I know now. Well, I can't say it didn't warn me. This city life's a hard road to hoe. And then it's fun how a dream can turn around, but corn don't grow. Hard times are real, there's dusty fields no matter where you go. Oh, you may change your mind, 'cause the weeds are high, but corn don't grow. Thank you. That's one of our favorite songs. Well, I'm going to go ahead and introduce my only sister to y'all. We have only 2 girls in our family and 7 boys, so we are a little bit unbalanced. But over here playing the mandolin, she's my younger sister by 2 years, and she's a great mandolin player and singer as well. She's a music teacher, so she stays really busy teaching music lessons back at home all week long. And we're pretty good friends. We stick pretty close together with all these boys. So if you'd give a nice hand, please, this is my sister Lucy. Thank you. And we're going to have Lucy sing another one of our favorite songs. This one goes back a ways as well. And we're going to send this song out to all the dads out here today. How many of you are dads? Our dad usually doesn't raise his hand. He tries not to claim us. But we're going to send this one out to our fathers. And even if your dad isn't with you anymore, think about your dad as we sing this song. And just remember how much he poured into your life. We owe a lot to our fathers. This song is called Daddy's Hands. I remember Daddy's hands folded silently in prayer, and reaching out to hold me when I had a nightmare. You could read quite a story in the calluses and lines. Years of work and worry had left their mark behind. I remember Daddy's hands, how he had my mama die, and patted my back for something done right. There are things that I've forgotten that I loved about the man, but I'll always remember the love in Daddy's hands. Daddy's hands were soft and kind when I was crying. Daddy's hands were hard as steel when I done wrong. Daddy's hands weren't always gentle, but I've come to understand there was always love in Daddy's hands. I remember Daddy's hands working till they bled, sacrificed unselfishly just to keep us all fed. If I could do things over, I'd live my life again and never take for granted the love in Daddy's hands. Daddy's hands was soft and kind when I was crying. Daddy's hands were hard as steel when I done wrong. Daddy's hands weren't always gentle, but I've come to understand there was always love in Daddy's hands. Daddy's hands were soft and kind when I was crying. Daddy's hands were hard as steel when I done wrong. Daddy's hands weren't always gentle, but I've come to understand there was always love in Daddy's hands. Thank you. Well, I think now will be a good time to introduce our dad since we did that one for him. So he comes to you all the way from New York originally. He comes from Buffalo. The rest of us come from natural parents. I mean, I think you could tell that by looking at him, but I'm just kidding. We're gonna let him sing this next one for you. It's one of our favorite songs. But before we do, we noticed some of our friends from Bluffton, South Carolina just walked in here. I don't know how long of a drive that was, but I will say last week you told me you weren't gonna be here because it was too far. So we appreciate you all coming out. You got bored. Well, we're gonna let our dad sing this next one for you, but before we do, how about you give him a hand? That's Mr. John Lindblum on the bass. All right, this is one called Almost Home.
for he would not deny the Lord like he had done before. They hung him by his feet to die, they thought he was alone, but he cried unto the Lord, I'm almost home. Almost home, almost home. Got a mansion waiting and I'm almost home. Almost home, almost home. Got a mansion waiting and I'm almost home. Apostle John up on the other eye, but he had a good connection with the Lord up in the sky. He saw the New Jerusalem, they thought he was alone, but he said it's not so hard to die when you can see your home. Almost home, almost home. Got a mansion waiting and I'm almost home. Almost home, almost home. Got a mansion waiting and I'm almost home.
Mama's smile so soft and warm. Lonesome pine, I can hear you calling, calling me back to my home, where the fox and hound through the hills are roaming. Lonesome pine, calling me still hear my daddy call my name. Lonesome pine, I can hear you calling, calling me back to my home, where the fox and hound through the hills are roaming. Lonesome pine, calling me
got a few more before we take a little break here. So I'll introduce the oldest child in our family, and the guy over here holding this, the dobro. How many have never seen a dobro before? See, there are some. Besides Luke, there are a few others in here. But that's what you call that thing. That's also called a slide guitar. It's kind of an interesting instrument. He does a great job on it, we think. And also plays all these other instruments just as well, and he's a hard worker. One of Luke's latest pursuits is running sound. So you may have seen him at some bluegrass festivals. He's all over the Southeast with his sister Lucy. Yeah, running sound and enjoying doing that and doing a great job with that. But if you'd please make him feel welcome, we'd appreciate it. That's Luke Lindblum on the dobro.
Thank you.
One other thing he does is sing bass. So we're going to ask him to sing along with us on this one. It's one of our favorite tunes. We think it's got a really great message. Hope you all enjoy it. It's called I'm Not Ashamed.
I'm not ashamed to stand and say that I love Jesus. I'm not ashamed to say I'm trusting in His word. I'm not ashamed to lift up high the bloodstained banner because I'm saved. I'm not ashamed. Sometimes we as Christians, we wait upon the shelf. We're ashamed to lift our hands in praise. We wait on someone else. But Jesus died at Calvary. God's plan He did fulfill. And that is why I stand today, trying to do His will. I'm not ashamed to stand and say that I love Jesus. I'm not ashamed to say I'm trusting in His word. I'm not ashamed to lift up high the bloodstained banner because I'm saved. I'm not ashamed. In this life we have His blessings, yet we fail to praise His name. He said if we were ashamed of Him, to us He'd be the same. When He gave His life at Calvary, He did it for all men, so that we could stand and proudly say, we've been born again. I'm not ashamed to stand and say that I love Jesus. I'm not ashamed to say I'm trusting in His word. I'm not ashamed to lift up high the bloodstained banner because I'm saved. I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed to stand and say that I love Jesus. I'm not ashamed to say I'm trusting in His word. I'm not ashamed to lift up high the bloodstained banner because I'm saved. I'm not ashamed because I'm saved. I'm not ashamed. Thank you all so much. How about if Luke's singing bass on that one? Well, this next song that we'd like to do is an original song that I wrote. And real quick, just the story behind this song. I wrote this song thinking about a man who lived about 500 years ago. His name was William Tyndale, and he was the first man to translate the Bible into the English language. And I was just thinking about what a tribute we owe to people like William Tyndale who gave their lives so that we could have God's word in our language today. And he was actually martyred at the stake for his work, and his last words before he died were, "Lord, open the King of England's eyes." And I just thought that prayer was so powerful, and God answered it just a few years later. And it's because of his work and other people like him that we can read the Bible in our language today. And so that's the story behind this song, something that I believe we all shouldn't take for granted. And our dad does a great job singing it. It's one that I wrote called The Translator.
I ride the streets of cobblestone, my bundle on my back. I work the night by candlelight alone. A pot of ink, a quill pen, a faded parchment stack. My treasures are too precious for this world. The common people of this land must have the word of God. My mission burns within me like a flame. The boy who drives a plow must read the scriptures in his tongue. I'm the translator and Tyndale is my name. The Bible for the common folk in the language that they speak. In English for the people, not just Latin for the priests. The young, the old, the rich, the poor, the simple and the wise. Lord, open the King of England's eyes. They call me religion, I have fled. The church led by the state I cannot own. I'm hated by the masses and the king would like me dead. The faithful scattered Christians are my home. The Bible for the common folk in the language that they speak. In English for the people, not just Latin for the priests. The young, the old, the rich, the poor, the simple and the wise. Lord, open the King of England's eyes. They throw me in the dungeon, soon they'll tie me to the stake. But the work I've done they never can destroy. Forever till the end of time it stands without mistake. The promises of everlasting joy. I dream of the day when every home will have this book. A centerpiece of wisdom where the families can look. I close my eyes and see this tattered paper full of words. A fire that sweeps the face of all the earth. The Bible for the common folk in the language that they speak. In English for the people, not just Latin for the priests. The young, the old, the rich, the poor, the simple and the wise. Lord, open the King of England's eyes. The young, the old, the rich, the poor, the simple and the wise. Lord, open the King of England's eyes.
Thank you. Libby did a great job writing that song, didn't she? I'm going to take a minute to introduce the last person up here that hasn't been introduced yet, and that's on the far end. Over there from me, that is our mom playing the fiddle, doing a great job. I was going to tell you to go ahead and make her welcome, but I don't have to. You already hear what a great job she's doing. That's Lindblum over there on the fiddle. She played violin with the Savannah Symphony for many, many years, and then just a few years ago started picking up Bluegrass fiddle and does a great job on that. She writes a lot of songs. She teaches a lot of lessons. She homeschooled all of us in our family, so she does a lot for us, and she's a great fiddle player as well. So we're going to ask her to play. If I said ask him, I'd be talking about Linus out there, who's also a great fiddle player. But we're going to ask her to play a fiddle tune here that most of you, I'm sure, are going to recognize. And if she doesn't do a good job, we'll ask him to come up and play it instead. So this is the Orange Blossom Special.
say something real quick?
Okay, this is for TV only. Thank you for watching Breazeale's Grocery Bluegrass and the group heading home. We appreciate you folks on air, online, watching us. And we'll be back at a later date, so we're going to cut you off and see you later, but we're going to continue the show.